Hey, we probably need to talk about something soon. Might be. Yeah. That was washed years ago.
Years ago, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. But now it makes it
Yeah, and what they're doing, it's just amending it with current conditions.
right.
Yes.
It is 6 o'clock, time for the August 13th meeting of the Sherwood Planning Commission to come to order. Call the roll.
Clough. Here. Middleton.
Here.
Martin.
Here.
Abernathy. Jones. Hoskin.
Here.
Patel.
Aye.
You've received a copy of the July minutes. Are there any corrections or additions?
No, sir. Motion to approve.
Have a motion and a second. Call the roll.
Clough. Middleton.
Aye.
Martin.
Aye.
Hoskin. Patel.
Aye.
Just to be clear, on the agenda tonight, we have item number 9 has been withdrawn. And items for the old business, the 2 items both have asked to be tabled.
That is correct. And then in addition to those amendments to the agenda, I need to add under new business, a final plat for Trammell Loop Addition Phase 2.
Loop. Phase 2. Okay.
Okay, because 2 have asked to have been tabled, just to take care of some housekeeping, I need a vote to table both of those.
Can we do it together?
Yeah. Can we do it together?
Okay. Motion to table the preliminary plat and the conditional use permit under old business.
Clough. Middleton.
Aye.
Martin.
Aye.
Hoskin. Patel.
Aye.
Okay. Number 5.
Rezone request at 300 Trammell Road from R1 to I1.
Good evening, Shelby Smith, 2 City Planners. So this first item on the agenda this evening is a rezone request. This is the last parcel, or I should say half of a parcel located within the jurisdictional bounds of the city of Sherwood. It's at 300 Trammell Road, depicted in the visual on the screen. And with that, the applicant is requesting to rezone from R1 to I1. The item was advertised as such. After review of the application and compatible uses moving forward, staff recommends a rezone to C4, just based on the expounded uses that are permitted now and in the future.
Okay, this calls for a public hearing. Does anybody wish to speak to this application? Going once, going twice, hearing closed. Gentlemen, what's your pleasure?
I have a question. It's just says this portion of the parcel. So how big is the parcel?
It is, let's see, for sure. So presently, there is a current business operation. We can speak to that real quick. It is located within this structure. It's called American Structures. They are a construction company, and they have been operating there. It was a non-conforming use. They have since, the owner's gone in and they have renovated the structure for an event center, although it doesn't currently adhere to all the fire code requirements, so they're working through that process. So in all capacity, this is an attempt to achieve compliance.
I would note that in the zoning code, one of the few places where C4 is expressly permitted is at the intersection of arterial roads and 161, which is exactly precisely where this is located. So the C4, in my mind, provides more options for the property owner, and I think it'd be better than an industrial zone.
And to answer the acreage, the total parcel is over 16 acres.
16 acres.
Yes.
So they're only doing some
So-
portion of it.
On your screen right here, where you see the line of zoning, that is the extent of the parcel being located within the city of Sherwood. The remainder is unincorporated Pulaski County.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? I think basically the question before you now is whether to go with the applicant's request for I-1 or the staff recommendation for C4.
I feel like the staff's recommendation for C4 gives the property owner some more leeway of things to do, and that is one of the locations called out in the book. So I'd make the motion, we rezone this from R1 to C4.
I have a motion and a second.
Okay, Clough. Middleton.
Aye.
Martin.
Aye.
Hoskin. Patel.
Aye.
Rezone request at Lot 19 RR Marywood Edition.
So this next item on the agenda is a parcel located at the corner of Keel and Penwood. The property is currently zoned C2, and the applicant is requesting a rezone to C3, both of zonings which are compatible with Vision 2040 Comprehensive Land Use Plan. So with that, I will take any questions.
Do you have any questions before we open the public hearing? Okay, I'm opening the public hearing. Does anybody wish to speak to this? Okay, whatever's first on the list, let's go in the order on the list.
Okay, first on the list is Carol Fulton.
Do you wish to speak?
We have questions about the,
We want our worldwide audience to hear you. And if you would, just for the record, give us your name and address.
my name is Carol Fulton. My address is 6907 Highway 161, North Little Rock, Arkansas, 72117. And we had questions, I'm here with my siblings, and we have land on that side where they're talking about rezoning to industrial.
We've already moved on that one. This is for a Marywood addition on Keel.
Okay. Well, she called my name, so.
Oh,
So you already moved on that?
yes,
Oh, my goodness. Well, we didn't understand.
I'm sorry.
So can you at least explain to me what's going on with that?
Shelby?
In regard to the rezone request?
Yes.
So what they did, they just recommended for approval a rezone to C4, which is a commercial use, which is already existing on site.
So nothing really has changed?
Nothing has changed from the use standpoint. It was for compatibility purposes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who's next on the list? Who wishes to speak to the Marywood application?
Next on the, Janet Ann Hines is next for Marywood. Yeah.
Well, from now on, we'll just go by the list. Or raise your hand. Ma'am, did you wish to speak now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Hi,
And if you would, give us your name and your address.
I will. Sue Ellen Peglow. I live at 8605 Patricia Lynn, which is across Kiel on the north side of Kiel from the proposed rezoning. The only concern I have for it is that has been, I've been in my home for 47 years, and that intersection has always been extremely dangerous. When my kids learned to drive, and even I, would not turn left off Patricia Lynn onto Kiel because of the line of sight of that hill. So I'd like to know if this is going to take place with an increase in traffic, what is proposed to handle that problem?
At this point, we don't have any specific use that's been requested, only whether the zoning classification should be changed. I will tell you that in the future, if something does decide to actually want to develop there, they will have to go through a site plan review, and that will be a public hearing, and it will have to comply with all of the yard and site requirements that are in the zoning code and subdivision regulations. So if there is something to actually be developed, there will be a public notice about it.
Okay, and I will be served as I was through the certified mail again?
No, but it will be listed on the city's website.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Who next? And if you would, tell us your name and your address.
I'm Janet Hines. I live at 8402 Penwood. I've lived there for 38 years. This is an old, established neighborhood. I am concerned about a number of things, mainly the traffic. If that is a small lot, if the driveway cuts or curb cuts are made onto Penwood, then that's going to be shooting traffic down Penwood. If it is a commercial establishment, and the only thing that I know, they have not specified what it's going to be, but I have looked at what could be going in there, and I guess the one that keeps hitting me is a 7 Brew coffee shop, and them coming in off Kiel and then feeding right into Penwood, because like she said, that corner is difficult at best. I don't turn left onto Kiel out of Penwood. I turn right, but I don't turn left. I go down around the block. There's been too many accidents. Concerned about that. Concerned about the lights for it. Again, I'm using 7 Brew coffee. If they put those lights on and keep them on all night, the neighborhood's going to be lit up just like daylight. Noise from the traffic and from the people coming in from something like a restaurant with a drive-through. So, lived there a long time. All of us in that neighborhood have been there established for a number of years. I don't want to move. I want to stay where I'm at, and I'd like to have a quality of life that enables me to stay there. So, thank you. Do you have any questions?
No, thank you. Anybody else? Now, sir, this is a mere formality, but would you tell us your name and address?
Okay. Lucian Gillum, I live at 8406 Penwood Drive in Sherwood. And my wife, Jan, lives there too. The main thing we're interested in is, right now, the intersection up there is working just fine. We don't need I think going from C2 to C3 is gonna add some property, some things we really don't need. C2 is quite business, C3 is a little bit more intense. One thing we do have is a speedway going down Penwood. That's a long street, you know. And we get a lot of heavy traffic there. Jan, would you like to
Sure. We've lived there 49 years. It is an old established neighborhood. We're concerned that a C3 would be more likely to increase traffic. And as the other two ladies said, that intersection is dangerous already and has been for the last 25 years. And if you're adding a business that has a lot of in and out, there are going to be cars coming from every direction. And that a lot of people turn onto Penwood to get over to the interstate. And we just don't need a quiet business. We know it has to be commercial, and that's fine with us. But quiet business, offices, real estate offices, anything like that, we wouldn't have any problem with. But we just don't want any intense commercial business there. And they most certainly will probably want an entrance onto Penwood. And I can just see the wrecks. It's going to be even more dangerous than it is now. So we would appreciate it if y'all would consider that.
Thank you.
Thank you. You did a lot better job than me.
I know how that is, Lucian. Anybody else? Okay, I'm calling the public hearing closed. You've heard comments. I have a question of staff. I think it was in the notes, but what's the difference between the number of commercial activities that are allowed in C2 and compared to C3?
So in comparison to C3, with the existing zoning of C2, 43 additional permitted uses and 21 conditionally were allowed over what is already permitted in C2, essentially. So it does allow more flexibility. It's general commercial is what they're seeking.
Gentlemen? If you would give your name and who you represent or where you're from.
Hi, my name's Anthony Zadorian. I am from Sherwood. I live in the neighborhood also, as do my parents. This is my hometown. We're interested in rezoning so that we can start a family business on this property. I can fully say that we plan on being as respectful and good neighbors as we can be, and completely open to working with the city and getting input from the neighborhood to do the best job we can at making this a good impact on the community and for the neighborhood.
At this point, you don't have anything specific in mind?
I do. Would you like me to comment on that?
It would probably help some of the members of the
Okay, yes.
audience,
Yes,
even though
so-
that's not what drives us.
Okay. So right now, the plan is to make a small family-owned and operated coffee kiosk. So in order to serve the customers efficiently, that would require a drive-through window, but it would be small. And I don't expect it to get the kind of traffic that would be expected from something like a 7 Brew. It'd be a family-owned and operated. So it's myself and my wife here. We're not exactly big business, but I hope that clarifies.
Thank you. Remind the commission that what we're not doing at this point is approving or rejecting a specific business opportunity. We're deciding whether C3 is appropriate at this location. And I'll point out, because it may concern some folks out there, is that C3 has about as stout a site requirements for distance and buffer and so forth. And the site plan review is pretty heavy on a C3 sort of business. So we would all take all of that into consideration if it gets to that point. But the question really is C3 appropriate at this location on Keel Avenue? You want to say something?
Sure. So if you would have gone through the staff report, though, there are frontage requirements. There's minimum lot widths, and this site does adhere to C3 lot width requirements. So with that, staff does recommend approval of the rezone because it is compatible with Vision 2040. And that was all prior, when staff had no idea what the sought use was intended to be, compatibility purposes.
Okay. Gentlemen?
I mean, it is consistent with the current businesses over there. It's like, if you look at the pattern, it's like C1, C2, C3. I mean, there's a consistent pattern we're seeing on that drawings that we have.
I would argue there's no pattern whatsoever. There's C1, C2, C3, all over the place on
Yes.
Keel Avenue.
It is all over the place.
But there are other C3 locations on Keel Avenue currently, yes.
Right.
That is what you're getting to, yes.
Yes. I'll make a motion to approve zoning request from,
There is a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve changing the zoning to C3, or to recommend it to the council.
Clough? Middleton?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Hoskin? Patel?
aye.
Amendment to the master street plan?
So this next item on the agenda, before you this evening, you have a stapled little packet that has the existing master street plan in comparison with what staff is proposing. You'll notice here on the screen and also within your packet, the existing proposed collector runs through a current subdivision, so that is no longer a viable option. So with that, staff is proposing an amendment that would be on page 2 of your packet and now on your screen, to relocate that collector to make a through connection essentially from Highway 107. It will connect to Oakdale as well, and then make a continuation down to Kellogg Acres Road. And I'll allow James, if he has additional information, he may add it.
This is sort of one of what will be a broader list of some proposed changes from a recent review as a result of another work that the county's been looking at that I just so happen to be doing that. So then I saw a bunch of things in the existing master street plan that either conditions have changed in the last 4 years or we have more information. And so this is one that was kind of a coincidental with that in terms of looking at it. So I think that going through the neighborhood, that would be sort of an existing functional collector, would not be going back and improving that to higher standards. It would just be maintaining the current road there, but it functions as a collector to connect between Kellogg Acres and 107.
Yeah, so it's not built to collector standards now? That was what, I couldn't remember. It's been a
No.
while since,
No.
that's why I was.
No, nor would I recommend it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, this calls for a public hearing. Does anybody wish to speak to this issue? The master street plan.
One of the benefits that we're also looking at is we've got parkland, that this would then make it more accessible to be able to utilize. It's difficult if you have parkland and it's only accessible through a neighborhood that really just kind of doesn't really serve much purpose on wider usage. So that's another reason why this particular connection is important. It allows multiple ways for people to be able to access and make it a better usage of that land than just a little neighborhood park.
Where is the parkland?
Can you see where she's clicking on? Right there? Yes. And so otherwise, the only way of accessing it was through an end of a cul-de-sac. So,
Let the record reflect that the mayor spoke just then. Anybody else? Public hearing closed. Gentlemen, the only thing I note, I just want to be sure I'm clear about, is that where it originally connected over to Kellogg Road, it's now, what's the name? Is it Oak Forest Lane?
Yeah.
It extends from Oak Forest Lane instead. So for all practical purposes, it's a collector to a local street to a collector. Is that right?
Based on the built standards, that would be.
Yeah, based
Correct.
on built standards.
Yes.
Functionally, Kellogg Acres is minor arterial. Mine Road would be a functional collector. Then it would transition, basically function as a collector. We built the local standards. Oak Forest is local standards, and then transition over to more of what you would consider a traditional collector as a commercial type road.
Just wanted to be clear on that. Questions?
No.
So whenever this item is advertised, it is done in the same fashion as any advertisement. It is advertised in the newspaper as well as via city website. And in addition to that, this item will go to city council via resolution based on the recommendation.
I think beyond that, there's the stub on Oak Forest that's heading east. If
Correct.
you're in there, you know it's going to go somewhere.
Yes.
Someday, yeah.
Will we go back and have a roundabout
Yeah, we will, yeah.
Motion to approve the Master Street Plan Amendment.
Motion and a second, call roll.
Cliff. Middleton.
Aye.
Martin.
Aye.
Hoskin. Patel.
Aye.
Final plat of Lot 20A, Sylvan Hills Edition.
So this next item on the agenda is a final plat. One is for they're both existing lots of record. So with that, I do know the applicant is here to speak to the item, so I would allow that at this time if the commission wishes.
Good evening, Thomas Pownell with Thomas Engineering. The only requirement that we have not shown on this plat is a requirement request that we provide a no access easement along the frontage of Highway 107. I understand the purpose. I agree that access would be difficult to get there. I would prefer not to put that access easement on there because I don't like encumbering property when there are already rules that would prevent this, meaning you've got to have spacing between driveways, and plus it's the Highway 107 access, it's not Sherwood's. And I don't want to make a practice of putting no access easements on something when the other rules will already prevent that. And we've already submitted a, a site plan review for this property for your next hearing, in which we are not showing access there either. It's just an encumbrance that I don't think is necessary that your rules already support. I don't want it to be a sticking point for this approval, but I just want to be on record that we don't want to make a practice of doing no access easements.
Fair enough. I have a different concern.
Okay.
And my concern is that the description of what the plat is says that it's a plat of Lot 20A and other property, which is just vague and doesn't mean anything to me. I don't like the fact that it's got two different zoning classifications, but I understand why that happened.
Mm-hmm.
My concern is, A, that the thing should be explaining that this is a plat that's composed of Lot 20 and part of 19 of the Block 4 of that old subdivision, to be explicit about that's what this is about, and not just saying other properties. I think the dimensions ought to show where that zoning district boundary is, and also where Lot 19, or, Lot 19 was, just to clarify what this plat is involved with. I mean, the old plat was a mess, and it got messed up pretty good. But in my mind, this plat needs to be very clear about what it is we're platting.
We can change the description from other lands to part of 19. The title you see above the stamps there, that's kind of a general title. So it could say Lot 20 and a portion of Lot 19. That's easy for us, and we can change that. The legal description is more descriptive of what is actually being platted. But if you would like us to change it, that's not a problem at all. And if you want to provide the dimension for the C2 line to slide wherever it exactly is, it's not dimensioned on that for that reason, and we'll happily put it on there.
Well, it's clear to me, looking to the record and the plats, that was Lot 19, so that's what the distance should be.
Well, it'll be whatever
It was a
whatever
little,
portion of 19 it is. It may not be all of 19, but when we show it, we can show.
it's the south part of 19, but it looked like it was probably accurate to the eastern edge of Lot 19. It was kind of hard to tell because I was trying to measure off of pages, and that's
Yeah.
not a survey measurement.
No,
But
it's not. We know that. Yeah, we could show, if it's part of 19, we can delineate what distance it goes from 20 into 19. That's fine. We can update it. If you would like to approve it with that contingency, that'd be fine.
It just goes against my concern that depending on how the property is developed, I want to make it crystal clear that activities in C3 can happen here, and in C2 happen here, in case there's any distinction or difference. I just want to make that clear.
That's fine.
I would prefer it to be rezoned.
Yeah, those would be my next question. You got any-
Our plan is not to rezone it right now because the use that we're providing on this next site plan doesn't require it, but it could be a
Okay.
cleanup, if you want to call it that way, that's fine.
That would be a lot cleaner. Then there would be no question about what we were looking at in terms of any future use as to what it had to comply with.
Okay.
You're talking about rezoning it from 3 down to 2 for the whole, is that, I mean, because what
I
you're,
think it was 2 to 3.
did I misunderstand what you said? Business that's on the site plan is a,
It works in both C2 and C3, I
I see.
believe. I'm
See.
pretty sure of that. So I would advise my client design to go to C3 because it's a better open, it provides more uses.
Yeah.
So if you, that's what I advise them, and it'd be up to you if you agree with that.
Well, we'd have to hold a public hearing to be sure, but my sense is that we would because we don't like split lot zoning.
That's fine. We're fine if you would like us to go file a rezoning request.
Well, I'll leave it up to the rest of
We
you all.
would like you to go ahead and approve this, though, because of your sales going on and such like that, and the site plan review coming through that I think would go through regardless of the zoning. But,
It would be good if you had a note in there to be rezoned.
on the plat,
Yeah.
I don't know if we can put that on a plat.
I don't think you can.
I don't think we can put that on a plat. Maybe you could require that as part of the site plan review.
You need the plat to close the sale.
Correct.
It's like when, can we do
Given
the-
that the use is to be is allowed in either one,
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with your saying that's what you will advise your client.
Yeah.
And we would look at that at the site plan.
That's fine.
It would probably generally be better, I mean, for the purposes of review, having the zoning line on there is useful. For the final filed copy, it would probably be beneficial to not have the zoning line on there
On the-
addressed at all.
That's what I was.
For the simple reason, let's say in 3 years, C3 no longer exists. C3
Yeah.
becomes CMU, and that's what the zone is.
It all-
It could lead to confusion as to what the actual zoning is. It is very valuable from the purposes of review, and it serves a critical purpose for us to know, have a delineation of it, but in the final filed copy, I would not show that.
Yeah.
Just so that we don't confuse future Shelbys and future Jameses, and future Corys, and,
You mean we don't want any confusion on this property?
yeah,
Yeah.
no further confusion.
I don't mind putting, like, in our general notes, I had it before, that it says, this is floodplain and things like that. Usually our standard things to put, it's zone C2 and C3, and just leave that in there, but not the delineating line or something like that may even be just as handy.
I'll say in 5 years when well, let's say I'm still around in 5 years. In 5 years, somebody looks at that, they're not gonna say, okay, this is what it's zoned. They're gonna go straight back to the zoning
Yeah,
map
yeah.
Yeah,
for that determination.
'Cause
On
that
the-
note's only good at the day it's signed. I mean,
Yeah. On the issue of the access restriction, that is not I think from a standpoint of staff, it's not a point that staff is, a hill that staff would die on.
I'm not 100% sure about RDOT's driveway rules. He'd get a permit for this lot anyway.
It's
But-
in
but
the
being-
functional area of the intersection.
Of 2 intersections and,
I agree that
200 feet
an
long.
access there would be difficult
Yeah.
to not advised.
But
But
I also understand the point
I
of
just
not
don't, I
encumbering.
just don't want to,
besides the
I-
expense of the drainage that you gotta install to
Yeah,
even put it in there?
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of physical limitations as well, not just the distance between intersections. I don't like creating something that other rules can already address.
That's understandable.
Yeah.
So that's not a hill that staff would die on. Because The point of it's going to be accomplished via site plan review.
Do we have an idea which side of this site is going to be accessed then? Is it going to be up with
We're,
Bob Johnson or Long Johnson?
we're proposing both. Yes, both sides. Mhm.
So I have, before I got here, I had a question. So this is one big, and you want to divide into C2 and C3. That's where that line is, right?
No, it's currently zoned that
that's-
way right now.
Okay.
It's currently
We're talking-
split zoning, so.
We're talking to him about trying to fix it being split
Yeah.
zone once this lot gets created.
See, before all of this, there were two lots.
Yes.
One was Zone C3, and the one behind it was C2. Eventually, they're going to come back and say, let's get this all C3. Right now, the plat, the only thing I care about on the plat at this point is that it identify the properties that are being included in the new definition or the replat.
So,
No problem with that at all.
yeah, okay. So motion to approve the final plat with the title change contingency to address lot 19 instead of the words other lands, and you can remove the split zoning dash line there as well, if we'll address it later.
I'll second that.
Cliff? Middleton?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Hoskin? Patel?
Hi.
Thank you.
Discussion item, uses at 6100 Getty Drive, Suite Q.
So this next item on the agenda is simply staff coming before the planning commission related to a use permitted in a zoning district. So with that, the property located at 6100 Getty Drive, it's not addressed, but I'm circling it currently. So the potential occupant has requested a review, and what the operation essentially would be a wholesale automotive dealer, not in the sense of selling off of a lot, storage for a few vehicles getting ready to go to that new buyer. So with that, based on the schedule of uses, there's wholesale line items within the zoning code. One has open display, the other one doesn't. So the one with open display is only permitted up to a C4. So staff is coming before the commission to see if it would be a viable option to allow the wholesale with open display of storage in this location.
Okay, I understand that this is not something that the commission takes a vote on and acts on. This is simply advising the staff of our general sense of whether this is an appropriate definition that would allow this business to locate there at that location. So while we won't take a vote, what I want to hear is from each of you, your opinion of this.
So, from what I read, he's a wholesale car dealer where he just buy the car off of auction and send it to the body shop, and he'll have 2 or 3 cars at a time on those parking space. But there are other businesses there as well, am I correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, I mean, who's going to keep track of how many cars stays there in that lot? And what about adjacent business if there's more traffic that's coming through for the other businesses and they start complaining that there is cars here? So that's the concern I have.
Would the applicant or the owner care to speak to that?
Mr. Daniels, you come up to the mic.
And if you would introduce yourself to us.
Phil Daniels, live at 3043 Shady Shot Drive here in Sherwood. I've been in the car business for over 30 years. Retailed, wholesale, but I'm at the point in my life I'm gearing back, and all I do is wholesale. I may keep 4 or 5 units at a time. Most of the time, they're either at detail, mechanic, or they leave there and go straight to my buyers. I sell primarily dealer to dealer or at auto auctions. Taking my websites down, do not advertise for the retail public, have no operating hours. I come and go when I want to. Do have a shop, keep personal truck in there, I keep golf carts in there, whatever. So I'm not there to display anything for the public, just to be able to operate. And as everyone probably here knows, in Sherwood, it's very limited where you can operate under the C4 for a used car dealer. And most of those businesses are out on the freeway. There's one or two down in Sherwood. I actually own one of those properties, which I lease out, where I used to retail at. But I just request that we could do that. I signed a lease, I made a move before I investigated, my bad. But that's all we're gonna be doing there is wholesale, and I'm just a one-horse operation.
Any other questions of the gentleman?
Yeah, what is the general intended condition of the cars that will be stored on the site? Are they ready to be sold and drive?
Well, once they arrive there, if they have not been sold, they're going to be sold to one of my buyers. I sell to several buyers in the area, or I will send it to an auto auction and sell it.
So it's not going to be wrecked cars that are going to be repaired and eventually?
No repairs. I send everything outsourced, detailed, mechanics. We do nothing like that there.
Okay, so it's just going to look like a car parked in the parking lot?
Yeah.
All right.
And it's basically, you're just storing vehicles that are
Yeah,
going
it's
to a
just
dealer.
it's a holding place, but I have to have a place to satisfy the state of Arkansas as a used car dealer.
For your dealer license.
Yeah, to have my dealer's license, so, but that's my goal, that's what I'm after.
Yeah, my concern is, you buy damaged cars and have them sitting there.
No,
So if that's not the case, then.
yeah,
Yeah, thanks.
no, I'm not in the salvage business, so.
Charles?
I want to thank you for bringing this to us, because a lot of people would have just done it and waited until they got caught, so.
Well, I've always played by the rules.
Appreciate that.
I don't try, to skirt the issues, but, one thing that even prompted it was North Little Rock Electric will not allow you to turn on the electric in your name without a city permit. Check, mate. So you can thank them for helping some, but I still would have, because I've had a permit before in the city, so.
Luke?
With what he's described, I don't see an issue. It being in the industrial kind of area over there, 4 or 5 at a time is just gonna look like a few cars in a parking lot. I'm speaking? Yes, sir. Yeah.
Have you signed in?
Signed in, no, I didn't know I need to sign in. I need to sign in?
Yeah, just for the record, so we can get the minutes right.
In the meantime, though, I will quickly state in those line items, the two wholesales, the only difference is the inside and outside display, but they reference the same within the book to guide staff in permitting business license. So that is why we're here this evening.
And in my mind, it's almost a short-term warehousing,
Right.
which is also permitted.
What Mr. Daniels is telling you is accurate. He's got 3 spaces. 2 in front of his office, 1 in front of the overhead door. That's all he's allowed. So there will not be any mechanic work going on, because we don't allow it. My insurance company won't allow it. So I don't have anything like that. No body shop stuff, no mechanic work, nothing like that goes on. So he's mainly wanting a place to where, from what I can understand, he buys them, he gets them detailed, and then he takes them to auction or wholesales them out. And I won't let him have any more room, because if he does, he's going to be interfering on somebody right next door to him. So what he's telling you is true, and so it's what he's mainly looking for is a place to have an office with a little warehouse where he can put his vehicles in there if he needs to or whatever. But he's only allowed 3 spaces, and he knows that. So there ain't gonna be no 6 or 8 or 10, because I call the shots. Okay. It ain't gonna happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I've been living in Sherwood since 1965, longer than most of y'all are old. And I've been in business for many years, since early 70s. I was on the Civil Service Commission right here where y'all are sitting, back under Bill Harmon. I know all about the city. So I know what you can do, what you can't do. And Paul Brown's sitting back there, he knows. He knows we play by the book. And what Mr. Daniels is asking for, I mean, he's just wanting the place to mainly to keep his stuff, but he can't have a bunch because I won't let him have a bunch. And y'all not gonna have to control it because I'll control it. You know, so what I'm saying is it'll help him to where he can operate, and it's not gonna be a bunch of vehicles because it won't happen.
That's a fair deal.
Fair deal. All right.
Thank you for the explanation, because,
Yeah.
you know, there's a lot of businesses who has like, this parking is for designated businesses only, and now you start
Yeah,
taking
well,
out,
no,
they'll tow your cars.
We're zoned industrial over there. We've got
Yeah.
every kind of business you can think of. But my insurance dictates to me stuff that I can have and can't have. And what he's wanting is fine. He can't do mechanical work in there. He already knows that. And I can't have a body shop. I can't, you know, they tell me, like, if you want to have a place where you cook and you have deep fat fryers for, you know, for these people that have restaurants or whatever, can't do that either because it's flammable liquid. So it's, what he's telling you, I thought I'd better come to his aid. I wasn't sure he's explaining it good enough. But I came all the way from Hot Springs today to come over here to hear this, to make sure that he does what he needs to do. And talk to the mayor. I'm not going to juke them around. She knows, you know, I do stuff for the city. She knows that too. I have billboards. I advertise for the city for free. She knows that too. So I do some things to help our city. And I'm not going to do anything that's going to hurt anything because my reputation's on the line too. I'm going to try to help him. And if it works, fine. But like I said, he ain't gonna be out in left field, and I know Steve Cobb for a long, long time too. Anyway, I'm 81 years old. I've been around here longer than most of y'all all put together. So this is what the man's asking for, just mainly a place. He has to have a place for the state police for the deal, what he's saying. And so that's basically it. If you have any questions, hit me.
No, thank you.
No, sir. Thank
But
you.
you have been advised, no deep fat fryers.
Well, he knows that. I run a pretty tight ship, so Paul Brown could tell you, because he's an inspector, he knows.
I don't care how many items of uses that you put on a use list, you're not going to catch everything that ever might come before you. So it is fair to see if we believe that this is close enough to what is permitted that we could agree. So I'm going to take a poll. Do you agree that this is close enough?
Yes.
Yes.
That's the sense of the commission.
Thank you, appreciate you.
Trammell Loop.
Final plat of Trammell Loop Phase 2.
So this next item on your agenda was added this evening, so it was not within your packet. But this is the Trammell Loop Addition Phase 2. This is the plat for Part A. This side to the east is not yet completed, so the applicant has gone ahead and they are platting the side to the west. That preliminary plat was approved May of '22, and the only thing that is different from this final plat is the preliminary plat originally dedicated this green belt area to the city, and now this is denoted as a common area, and it will be dedicated and maintained by the POA. So with that, they've submitted all their final closeout documents, gone through engineering review, and staff recommends approval.
Okay.
Any questions of the commission?
No, sir. Motion to approve the final plat.
Wait a minute, I got a question.
No.
So what was a green area is now gonna be maintained by some POA?
Correct.
And it's my understanding that it's either an energy power line easement or floodplain.
So this area right here, and it goes into Phase 1 that is directly to the west, there is a 100-foot power line easement. It's actually Entergy's easement. This area is a wetland. It's to remain undisturbed, and the remainder of the area is common area, and the POA will have a maintenance plan tied to that.
Is this an existing POA?
Yes.
Yes.
It's
That's already
gonna,
out there?
yes, it's gonna,
Operating?
correct. It's going to amend the bill of assurance for phase one. That is the intent.
And is it the intent to clear cut this entire site, or are they gonna save any of the trees that are on it, or?
So, like I said, the area right here on the screen where my mouse is moving, that is a wetland. It's to remain undisturbed. Where are you speaking in reference to trees?
Especially along Trammell Road, the large trees that are along Trammell.
As part of this subdivision? I'm not familiar with any,
I would anticipate that they likely would clear most of it just in terms of building subdivisions that accommodate the standard size lot to get utilities and streets and all of that in there. Typically, it requires clearing of the site. And so we don't have any regulations on tree preservation one way or the other, so it's not something that we could require either.
Well, you just said something that I don't think I'd heard before, that the POA or the bill of assurance needs to be amended.
there's, as part of this plat, what they are doing, rather than creating another, they are encompassing that into phase one. There is an active POA out there, and all of this is going to fall under the Trammell Loop Property Owner Association.
Okay.
And they are the ones that are prepared to take over the common area and provide maintenance.
You have a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
Just have a question, like looking at, what's that big, between the two lots that, is there a lot?
Right here?
Yeah, right there.
This is under separate ownership. It's not inclusive of the development.
Okay, so then they'll have, but we have one POA, right? And,
Correct. Whenever this phase is completed and it meets all of the requirements of the city, it will come back to you as a final plat, and that will also fall under the POA.
Okay, I'm confused.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have a final and a preliminary sitting up here?
No.
No.
This is just the final plat. Originally, when this whole subdivision was approved, May 22, as a preliminary, it was the entire, it was both of these loops. And as it stands, the one to the west that is before you this evening as Trammell Loop Addition, Phase 2A is just the side on the west. The side on the east is not yet completed. So they're breaking it up into two final plats,
Is there a,
and they'll be filed separately.
Yeah, but the only thing that's getting finalized is the stuff to the west that's got the gray hatching where the street is.
Yes.
Yeah, there will be
Is-
a phase three to follow that will final out those. They're not done with the infrastructure yet on the east side, and so
Correct. They were still awaiting some utilities to move to even begin the streets.
But when we approved the preliminary plat, did we approve this wetland area over here and this green area to be dedicated to the city?
So it's preliminary approval. That's typically something that is discussed whenever it comes up for final plat. There was the issue and discussion that's come up of who would maintain, and that would be the city retaining ownership of that. That would also have to go to council for approval. Correct me if I'm wrong, Steve.
Right, because it'd be city property,
'Cause-
and then we have the maintenance responsibility as well. They've decided to take it back. They want to keep it.
Correct. They want to maintain it through the Property Owners Association.
Let the POA have it.
That is not uncommon
No.
practice. It's more uncommon for a city to accept dedication of land that's a green belt to remain undisturbed, and then we get a lot of calls of, when are you coming to mow?
If the POA doesn't take it, then they're gonna get calls because the city's only gonna mow it once or twice a year or whatever, not near the regularity that the POA will have to, so let the POA have it. It'll be better maintained.
and none of these lots are in a flood zone or going to be a flood issue with that wetland being right next to
So the floodplain is delineated. Here's the delineation line. They are encompassed with finished floor elevations for each lot. And then a letter of map revision based on fill, because they've come in and filled those lots, will be submitted to FEMA, which will remove that.
So the flood line will move once they fill the lots.
No. Out in the Trammell area, I will say this is typical of all the Trammell subdivision development. The only thing that is different in this regard is the fact that the green space is going to be common property of the POA. It's not dedicated to the city.
So we have a motion.
We have a motion. We like a
Needing a second. About to die for a lack of second here.
Clough?
No.
Middleton?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Hoskin? Patel?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Clough? Middleton?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Hoskin? Patel?
That was 4-1.
4-1.